Hey, welcome back. Continuing on this pattern to help understand how different words and sentences can be grouped together, rearranged, and identify such kind of patterns in within a data set. Um, Seems to be some of the popular questions that Google had asked in the past also. So let's get to this question right away. The title of this question is Words with Two Vowels. Find all words which contain exactly two vowels in any list in the table. Take a quick look at the table here. Two fields, and both seem to be like a collection of words with some punctuations in between. So I would skip um, spending a lot of time on the usual traditional steps, but I'll put it out there just for a quick second. Two fields that we need to analyze, um, and expected output, which is kind of important to understand before we dive deeper. It is the words, identify the specific words with two vowels in them. Identify the specific words with two or more, just two vowels. That's a kind of specific request. Two vowels in them. All right. And we have some assumptions that we want to talk about, like always. Um, I do believe we need to consider any punctuations as the main delimiter between the words looks like a comma. Will there be any other rows that I can see on the sample data set that is provided? Um, Punctuations like period, comma, hash. If there are any such punctuation, do I need to worry about that? And do I have to um, identify words with these punctuations in between them in a sentence or however it is set up in the data set? Just getting a broader understanding of these kind of data set, because you don't want the logic to just apply for this particular sample set, but needs to be able to replicate and scale for a much bigger and more diverse data set. That's the total idea behind that question. Null values, as always, just keep it simple. Null values ignore for this criteria if for this criteria unless specified otherwise. So let's jump into the logic. We have the QA steps, keywords, aliases, indentation. Sound like a broken record, but that's kind of important as always. And logic flow. Okay, now get to the interesting part. So I want to start with CTE because in my mind, I'm computing, identifying the words in the first place from using string to array. Then I also recognizing the words with two vowels in them, and then return those particular words. So that's the process in my mind. Obviously, I'm going to condense it and make it more optimized as I keep writing down my code. But those are my initial thoughts. Just speak it out to the interviewer. I thought that's more helpful than putting those thoughts on paper here. It's going to save time. And if there are some changes, you can go back and vet it out with the interviewer effectively. So the first step is identify words from all the contents in the table. So I'm going to say, I do want both fields. The treatment is pretty much the same for both fields. So I'm going to create two subqueries and combine them. I just need a full list of words after separating them from punctuation. So I'm going to say Ernest string to array words one. That's the column I'm looking at. And the delimiter is pretty much a comma here. Usually it's just a space, but here the word is separated using comma. If there are words, going back to my first question, if there are words which are separated with a period in between or a hash in between or a star in between, you can ask that question and you can just integrate that piece here as the separator or delimiter. Okay, I'm going to say keywords, and from going to do a self join here because I do want a complete list of words, and I'm going to do a union because I don't really need um, duplications. Just going to increase my query time. So I'm going to copy the same thing and set it out here and say words 2 is going to be my other field I want to look at. And after identifying these keywords, I'm just going to combine them and call them into a single CTE. So when that happens, I just want to run it real quick and see. Well, the only caveat is you're able to run it here. You may not be able to run it in an interview. So you're just going to do some quality checks. So, yep, I'm able to get the unique list of words and there are no duplicates as I expect. All right, after isolating the words by taking care of punctuations in between them, um, now I want to identify the letters within these words because our final question is to identify words with exactly two vowels. So in order to identify the vowels, I need to break down the words further into letters. So my second CTE is focused at identifying the letters. It's pretty much the same syntax for identifying letters or breaking down letters from the words as well, with a small change in the function. So the same format, but the function here is I basically remembered there's no rocket science to it. Regexp split to array is the function, and the syntax is exactly the same. Here I'm identifying I am the I'm going to point out the word which it needs to look at, and then I really don't have a delimiter in this case, right? So I'm just going to leave it blank. In the earlier syntax, I'm using comma as the delimiter. Here, there's no delimiter, so I'm going to leave it as nothing. So that's pretty much how we are going to break down words into letters. Okay, so bring the first CTE in here to identify the words, and then you are going to, I might have to build a third CTE, which is count the number of count vowels, right? Okay, that's what I'm going to call the last one. Select. I do want to get the results at a keywords level, count of letters. This is exactly what I want as count vowels. That's what I'm going to call it. The second CTE and a simple where condition where letters are A. Good. One more good clarifying question to ask is if all the words are in lowercase or uppercase. If not, you can just convert them into lower or upper, just using the keyword upper and lower. I'm going to say A, E, I, O, U. Those are all the vowels. Okay. And group by, well, that's pretty much what we need. And after that, I'm just going to call out, select distinct keywords from my third CTE where the count of the vowels is exactly 2. Let's try and run this. Quick validation. The first CTE is identifying the words, breaking down the words without punctuation. Second CTE is breaking down the words further into letters. And now I'm counting the number of vowels using the where condition and just looking for all the words with exactly 2 vowels. So it looks like that's pretty much what we need. Let's try and run this.